Hi, I'm Justin Boyd.
I'm Brittany Pacheco.
And I'm Amber Churchwell.
And we are the Watchers in the Basement.
Welcome to the Watchers in the Basement. We are here today. We finally did it, Brittany. We're going to discuss Harry Potter. We're here to talk about the first Harry Potter film, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. It's the first movie in the Wizarding World franchise. I'm going to give us the facts before we get into it. Released on November 16th, 2001, or at least in the United States on November 16th, 2001. Box office of over $1 billion. Runtime of 2 hours and 32 minutes. And it felt like it to me.
Wow.
My opinion. I have my own opinions.
Ugh.
Cast that includes, of course, Daniel Radcliffe, Rupert Grint, Emma Watson, Richard Harris, Maggie Smith, Robbie Coltrane, Alan Rickman, and Tom Felton. So let's start off by talking about Brittany. You are a massive Harry Potter fan, right?
Yes.
No
Yes,
doubt
yes.
about that. I am not. I had never seen the movies until, I don't know, what was it, like 5-6 years ago. We made a deal where I liked Game of Thrones. You'd never watched Game of Thrones. And I said, okay. I kept telling you, watch Game of Thrones. It's really good. You'll like it. I guarantee you'll like it. And I was right. And you said, well, okay, well, if I watch Game of Thrones, you have to watch Harry Potter movies. So I did it. I watched all 8 of them.
But your definition of watching is not what I would have.
They were on the TV and I was in front of it. So that's all that matters. I
You're
watched
also watching March Madness. Like that's not the same
another
attentiveness.
screen. It was on my phone or on a iPad or whatever. So I watched the movies, right?
Okay, sure.
But then you became a bigger Game of Thrones fan than I ever was or ever could be. So that was a win-win for you.
It's very true. It's very true.
Yeah, so we're happy to be joined by Amber today. Amber, you of course, you have a wonderful YouTube channel. Why don't you go ahead and plug that before we get started?
There we go.
Thank you. I collect and study the wands in the wizarding world. So I do little videos about basically character analysis of the wand. I go into the historical and cultural and symbolic meaning of the woods, the cores, length and flexibility, and compare that to the character who wields that wand to see how it all fits. And there's a lot of amazing research out there for it, and it's pretty cool. I currently have quite a few videos out, and I'm going to be doing more soon once I finish a move. But yeah, I collect wands and I talk about them. I'm obsessed. It's pretty wonderful.
Very cool. Very cool. So let's get into it, right? So like I said, the movie started, or it was released in November of 2001. And Brittany, I'll go to you first. Do you remember the first time you saw the movie? Did you see it in theaters? Like, what were your first impressions of Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone?
So I was 12 when the movie came out. I was in 7th grade, and it was all the rage to go see because these books had already been out for quite some time, in late 90s, 97 to be exact. And it was like the next big thing, because think about it, with Harry Potter, he was 11 years old when he got his letter to Hogwarts. I was just but a year older. So for me, it was almost like I too got accepted to Hogwarts. And so, yes, to answer your question, I did go see it premiere day. I didn't see it just once in theaters. I saw it 8 times in theaters with my mom. Shout out to my mom, who supported my unhealthy obsession with Harry Potter all the way to this day. Fun little fact, I'm a little embarrassed to say, but she gave me full permission to marry Daniel Radcliffe at 12 years old. So
wow,
that didn't happen. But that is a fun fact about my life at that age.
So did your mom see it with you all 8 times?
She did.
Oh, wow.
She did. Mom's the real MVP, y'all. Like, yeah, she really did. And real quick, Justin, I want to give a shout out to those in the chat. We've got Bricky Hollows here with us. We also have Nick and Claire from Walking with the Woods, all the way from the UK. Appreciate y'all staying up late to join us. And who just joined us is Christian from McDorks. Appreciate y'all being here.
Very cool. I'm glad to have everybody here. I know everyone in the chat and every person watching this right now knows more about Harry Potter than the host of this show, me. And I'm fine with that. But I did my research and I've got some hard hitting questions. And so,
yes, you do.
So Amber, same question I just gave Brittany. Do you remember the first time you saw it? Did you see it in theaters? Like, how old were you? Like, what are your first memories of seeing this movie?
Well, I'm the youngin in the group, so I
Considerably younger than me. Yeah.
She's
I
the
was
baby.
I was 7 when the movie came out.
Ah.
Um, yeah, my teacher actually, I was in second grade, so my second grade teacher was super, super excited for it. So she actually read us the first book. I actually don't remember much of her telling us the book, but she read it to us like every day in class. She read a chapter, and we were all really, really excited for it, and we went to go see it. And I went to go see it with my parents, and I just was hardcore obsessed. And the next year, a month later, we had a Scholastic book fair at my school, and I got all of the books that were out at the time, and that's actually kind of what made me want to work for Scholastic. So that's what I do now.
Yay.
And
Very cool. Yeah, that's cool.
yeah. But I was so obsessed, and that was actually the year that I found out that I needed glasses. So I used to go to Costco to get my glasses, and the kids glasses, they have like themed kids glasses. There's SpongeBob and Mickey Mouse and stuff, and there were Harry Potter glasses. So my first pair of glasses were Harry Potter glasses, and my family and my sisters still to this day make fun of me for it, like I'm embarrassed.
I love it. Absolutely love it.
Do they know you have a YouTube channel about the wands? I mean, like, it's yeah.
I know. It's my mom, she swears that she has the glasses still somewhere. No idea, but yeah, I was in love ever since. I went to go see every single movie with my parents, and I never got the chance to go to a book release. I know, I'm so jealous. Like I wasn't at the age at the time to really know that was a thing. And my parents didn't look up those kinds of things for me, I guess. So I wouldn't have known it anyway. But
it's all good.
I just super obsessed. And my sisters, I'm the youngest. They actually didn't get into Harry Potter until the very last movie came out, because one of their friends was like, "Hey, the last movie's coming out. We want to watch all of it. I want you guys to go see it with me. We're going to have a huge party to go all see it together." And my sisters finally, after years of me begging, watched all of them. And yeah, I'm just really obsessed. I know my family's all of their houses. Yeah.
The obsession is real, y'all.
Yeah,
real.
I remember seeing that. But I mostly remember being in the theater for the second movie, but not really the first movie. I know I did see it in theaters, like the night it released, but I don't remember much beyond that.
So, Brittany, back to you. How many times, just a guesstimate, how many times do you think you've seen this movie?
The limit does not exist. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, I saw this particular movie, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, or as Nick and the rest of the UK would like to call it,
we're going to talk about that.
Okay, then I won't get there.
I did my research, folks.
Okay.
Like, I got notes for days, so we're going to touch on that. Yeah,
so sorry. Anyway, so yeah, like I've seen this movie just numerous times. Anytime it's on television with commercials, it doesn't matter. It's going to be background noise, if you will. If I'm having just like a bad day or something, one of the Harry Potter movies is going to be watched. And it just, I don't know, there's a familiarity to it that just kind of warms your heart. And it's always like a sense of belonging and feeling like you're going back to a place that a lot of people love and just accept. And it's kind of funny. One of those conversations that comes up when meeting people, it just randomly comes up like, well, what's your Hogwarts house? And either people get it or they don't. Right. So Harry Potter is just very immersed in my life. I'm very immersed in it, of course. And it's something that I will forever cherish. Reread the books, read it myself, audiobooks, watch the movies. Like I said, the limit does not exist.
Same.
So, same thing. Okay. Well, I was going to ask y'all, Are there movies that you've seen more than the Harry Potter movies? Let Amber start.
I don't know. I mean, I like Brittany knows that I have like an obsessive personality. If I like something, I love it. I'm not like a casual liker of things.
Right.
I'm just an obsessive person. So that's kind of across the board for most movies and shows. If I like it, I love it. I watch it a million times. But whether I've seen it more than Harry Potter, I don't know. I don't think so. I'm gonna say no, just because of how long and how old I was when I first got into it, and just how immersed I am in it. Um, because other interests that I've had, like family opera and just generally vampires and spooky things, like those didn't happen until I got older. Like Phantom of the Opera didn't happen until I was 10. So yeah, it's only a couple years difference, but still, um I don't think so.
Yeah. I mean, like for me, like sports have always been a big thing for me, and like a huge Michael Jordan fan, and like but my interests have kind of shifted over the years. I've become like more into superheroes and podcasts and all that kind of stuff. But is it safe to say for both of y'all, like Harry Potter is kind of y'all's thing, right? Like that's y'all's number one favorite like IP hobby. Is that fair, Brittany?
Yeah. Yeah, I think without a doubt. I mean, you look at my house, you look at my apparel, you look at my car even has a decal of the Deathly Hallows symbol. Like it's very much a part of just my personality, if you will. I'm not one of those necessarily that will go and out of my way to just talk solely about Harry Potter, because like you, Justin, I have other interests, of course. You know, we do the podcasting, we talk Marvel, we talk about different things, of course, and you know, I love graphic design. That's what I do professionally. So yeah, I mean, I have other interests as well, but Harry Potter is probably the biggest interest for me.
Yeah. I mean, when talking to people, I usually say that if Harry Potter's brought up, I usually try not to instigate it because I can go down rabbit holes and I know that. So I usually don't bring up Harry Potter, and I don't elaborate much unless people ask me questions. But I will say, like, start off by saying Harry Potter's like 90% of my personality. But yeah, I do have other interests too. And I remember my previous workplace before my current, people would meet me and they like introduce me to either new staff that I was going to be training or something, like introducing me to others and be like, she loves Harry Potter and things like that. And that's like how they introduced me. Like it was a second name, but there was a lot of times where I had to tell them like, I like other things too. I promise. But yeah, it's a pretty big focal point. And like Brittany, a lot of my stuff incorporates that too. Like my wallet is Harry Potter. My purse is Harry Potter.
Yeah. Hello, clothing.
Yeah, everything. I have so many things. And it's just a huge part that with the houses and characters and the vast like world building that they're still continuing doing, it's pretty easy to identify and personify yourself with.
And if you had to boil it down to like one thing, like what got you hooked on Harry Potter?
So for me personally, before the movies, because I did read the few books that were out before the 2001 movie, but I read them out of order. I read the second book first, then I read the first book, even though the first book was read aloud to us in grade school. But it's that feeling of escape from your reality. And for me, I didn't like reading as a child. There wasn't like a book that I connected to and just like a light bulb went off. And I think for me, like millions of others around the world, it doesn't matter if you're a child or an adult, like that is a feeling that a lot of people can relate to. They couldn't get into reading because they couldn't find that story that just kind of sparked that interest. And I think with Harry Potter, it's a wonderful story. I think it came to us during a time where a lot of people didn't realize they needed it, but it still continues to inspire and to get people interested in reading. And obviously there's like theme parks now, there's plays, there's stores, there's so many different avenues that have been taken since the release of the books. And I mean, I think it's great, but honestly for me, it's just that feeling of escape from my reality. It's pulled me out of some pretty dark times, growing up, but I don't know. I just have a very soft spot for Harry Potter.
Amber, what hooked you with Harry Potter?
Surprisingly, the wands came later. It was a little bit of the same. It was just how in very believable version of a magical world, because before that all of the magical worlds that I was hearing about were like fairies and just colorful rainbows everywhere, and it just was so hard to kind of mesh that make it believable between a fantasy. And like, this is, since it does take place in the 90s and stuff like that, when I was growing up, like, it's a thing that it makes you feel that there is a familiarity to it, and you feel like you can bond to it a lot more. So I feel like that's really what got me, was the fact that all of this could be possible. Like, and I like that. I think it's interesting in that aspect, and to view it in that, through that lens, because even going as far as to like magical beasts, like if you look into the textbook for magical beasts, that they for a Kelpie, the most famous Kelpie in the world is the Loch Ness monster. So it's just things like that all the tie-ins across the real world and this story is just enthralling.
Yeah, it kind of like came along in y'all's lives like right at the perfect time, it seems like.
Mm-hmm.
I've always thought that, because like, I'm a little bit older than y'all, and I think like if I were younger when it came around, I think that it's like, like I was into Transformers as a kid, right? But then like a few years later, Power Rangers come along, and I was like too old for Power Rangers, so I missed that kind of stuff. So like,
Power Rangers is awesome.
Yeah, I know you love the Power Rangers also, but no, I see a question in the chat, and we can actually I can answer that question. So, what house am I? So, Brittany, a few years ago we were talking about Harry Potter, and you're quizzing me after I just poured over the film watching those movies.
Oh my god!
So I just like, it was like the Zapruder film, with President Kennedy. I was just like studying it, and you asked me one day out of the blue. I wasn't prepared. You asked me to name the four houses, and I knew Slytherin. No, I knew Slytherin. There we go. So I said Slytherin. I said Hufflepuff. I said like Gryffindor, but I couldn't think of the other one. And so as a joke, I said Plytherin. And so that's become my house. Plytherin is my house. I'm one of a kind, all by myself.
Soul member.
Got my separate dorm room. Got my own cafeteria. It's pretty nice, honestly. I don't have, the thing I'm missing is the branding. I don't have a crest yet, but
it's too bad you don't know a designer that can, make one for you.
I don't know any graphic designers very well at all.
At my previous workplace, I made a Harry Potter themed game where we're all sorted into houses, and the Hufflepuff, specifically one of the heads of House of Hufflepuff, doesn't know Harry Potter at all. Like, the only knowledge that they had of Harry Potter was from being my friend. So they thought it'd be really funny, and they petitioned to rename Hufflepuff Swagrid, and they edited a photo of Hagrid with like chains and sunglasses and like a backwards hat, and it was and they refused to acknowledge the game at all unless they were referred to as Swagrid.
This is the equivalent to that meme, Justin, and I know you've seen it because living here in Houston. What house would Paul Wall be in at Hogwarts? And it'd be Swish a House.
There we go. Yep.
You know.
But I did take the test or the quiz. Brittany, you sent me the link.
Did you really?
Yeah, you sent it to me years ago. and I was Gryffindor. I think because I'm such a hero, so that's why I'm
Ah.
Gryffindor. I'm so much Harry Potter.
You were
Similarities
so not
are
a Gryffindor.
That's what it said, though. I took the test, and
It's a lie.
okay. Well, don't blame
Projecting
me.
a little bit.
A little bit.
Right.
A little bit.
So another thing that was mentioned in the chat that we're going to get to is the fact this movie for people in the United States, India, and the Philippines, the movie is called Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. However, for the rest of the world, it's called Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. Now, I'd heard this, a while back. Brittany, you told me about this.
Yep.
Mhm.
But I was curious. I was going to ask y'all if y'all could explain why there's a difference. But also in the movie, Sorcerer's Stone is said by a few characters toward the end of the movie several times, and I'm wondering, in the Philosopher's Stone, is it just dubbed to say Philosopher's Stone instead of Sorcerer's Stone? Or so first off, explain to us why the difference in the title.
So, kind of like what Christian in the chat said, Americans just we don't use the word philosopher. Like for us, like philosopher in the quite literal sense, when you say or think of the word philosopher, it's someone who's like a great thinker. You look at Aristotle, people of his caliber, right? So it doesn't quite translate to being something magical or part of the wizarding world. Whereas, and Nick and Claire, you guys are in the chat, you're in the UK, you could probably explain this better than I can. However, hey Mel, she just joined us here in the chat. What's up, Mel? Appreciate you being here. With Philosopher's Stone, the fact that the Philosopher's Stone, the item itself, the actual object, is actually based off a real person in history, Nicholas Flamel, who
Mhm.
was an alchemist. He was a bit of a Renaissance man. One could probably say a philosopher. I don't know the in-depth history of Nicholas Flamel, but that's where I believe the term comes from. But once again, with philosophers, and I believe with Americans, we think of like great thinkers, what have you. Philosopher doesn't equate to magic, wizardry, sorcery, that kind of thing. Whereas you use the term sorcerer, it's
Right.
kind of one and the same as being a wizard, someone who uses magical qualities, right? So that's why it changed for advertising purposes. It's not something that was going to be completely understood over here across the pond. So I don't think there's, to answer your question, Claire, I don't think the words are dubbed. From my understanding and from the scenes that I've seen, the young actors do say Sorcerer's Stone. Like you can actually see their lips moving. They, say Sorcerer's Stone. And the clips that I've seen from Philosopher's Stone, they actually do say Philosopher's Stone. So basically they shot two scenes for the two versions of the film.
So another take.
I do have a little bit of knowledge on the alchemy historical real world aspect.
Nice.
I just think alchemy is kind of cool, and I like history. And there's a museum near us that has an entire room chamber dedicated to alchemy. So
cool.
Yeah, there are many people who actually were looking into the Philosopher's Stone and the Philosopher's Stone. Like Nicholas Flamel was just one of the few people that was believed to have successfully created it, because we have like a couple of documentation about what it's like, things that have ways to make it and like what it does and stuff like that and what it's supposed to do, but it's all symbolic, so it doesn't it is, sorry, I just saw Walking with Woods. I am not a Raven Puff. I am neither of those houses. I love those houses, but I'm not either of them. But they are the ingredients are vague. Like I believe with the Harry Potter expedition that came out, they actually did had a copy of the scroll for the process of creating the Philosopher's Stone. And there was a demo one at the exhibit that I went to at the museum, but it's just symbols and weirdness, and it doesn't make much sense at all. It's really, alchemy is weird. Alchemy is hard. It's chemistry before we really had the ways to process chemistry. And but Nicholas Flamel was just one of the people who was supposed to successfully have created it. So that's kind of neat. And there's also like I've seen a couple of people, especially here on YouTube, like do theory videos about this because how much Rowling actually put into the story symbolically, because there is a part of the ingredient how to make the Philosopher's Stone was like a thing of white, red, and black. And Harry has 3 paternal figures in his life that correlate with those colors, because Sirius black, and Albus means white, so Albus Dumbledore, and Hagrid's first name is Rubius, which means ruby. So Harry would be the theoretical Philosopher's Child.
Wow.
But
no chance I knew that.
but Nicholas Flamel was a real guy in like the
Yeah.
1400s or 1500s or something. But he was a real dude, and there's a debate whether his grave is actually occupied.
No,
That's interesting. So speaking of real dudes, let's talk about the cast. Right? These I mean, they were kids. They were, I don't know, Daniel Radcliffe. How old was he when he was cast? Like probably 10, 11, probably the age of Harry Potter, right?
I think the trio, they were like 11, 10, and 9, if I'm not mistaken. I think Emma was the youngest.
Yeah,
she was the youngest. But these kids were basically brand new. I think Daniel probably had the most experience out of the trio. He had been in like David Copperfield, Taylor of Panama, he's a child actor. But I think with Rupert and Emma, they were really brand new. I don't think they had worked professionally in front of a camera to shoot a TV show or a movie. So this was a big deal for them. And Tom Felton, who was also a child at the time, he was, I think, 12, maybe. I read his memoir like not that long ago, went to the book event. Amber went to the book event as well, out her way. So that was really cool, insightful. But these kids, I mean, they were kids. They were little kids.
Yeah. And Tom Felton, who played Draco Malfoy, he actually auditioned for both the Harry and Ron roles also. So it's very interesting if you think about how he got in one of those parts instead of what he got.
It's kind of like Ewan Rayon, who played Ramsay Bolton. Like he had auditioned for Jon Snow. It's like, no, you're never going to be Jon Snow.
What's also funny is he, as an adult, because he's super supportive of Slytherin, and he later on as an adult took the Pottermore quiz and got Gryffindor, and Rowling, and he's like having an existential crisis, and she's like, yeah, I knew the whole time. I just didn't want you to break character.
Yeah, no, he's Slytherin. I don't care what that test says.
I think he identifies as Slytherin. He doesn't listen to it.
I mean, he's kind of the mascot, right? Like he's like the
pretty
main
much
Slytherin character. So
yeah,
very cool. So what did y'all think about how Harry and Ron and Hermione, how they kind of come together and they form this trio pretty quickly?
I think with the casting, the actors are very much their characters. I mean, Rupert, his audition dealt with a rap. Like he made up a rap as to why he should be cast as Ron Weasley. Daniel, like I said, he probably had the most professional background to be cast for Harry. And Emma, she was just so like studious and proper, and just did the Hermione thing in order to be cast as Hermione. I mean, I could go on and on about the rest of the actors and their characters, but like I think it was a pretty spot on casting for them at the time, considering that these were child actors.
Amber, what do you think about the trio? The main what is it? Not the triumvirate.
Golden Trio.
Oh, is that what they're called? The Golden Trio?
Yes,
okay.
They are.
Okay.
Sorry, my cat thought I was calling her.
Is her name Golden or Trio or
Jinx?
Her name is Jinx.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah. I know, I love these kids. They were older than me, obviously, so I kind of like looked up to them, and I was like, in my brain, I'm like, wow, I wish I was that cool when I'm 11. Like it was very fun to kind of grow up thinking that. And I think like most little girls at the time, I was obsessed with Hermione. Like she was the coolest on the planet and I want to be her. And like I think these kids captured them so well, and I now like looking back at it and especially watching that 20th anniversary thing last year, like it was really cool to just see how that came together and how that was impactful for them. And I just love these kids. And I say for people that are older than me, I really like them, and I think they personify their characters so well and so naturally. Like I believe that there was like interviews where when they were kids, like once they were announced and actually in filming, and they asked what they're going to do with all like the money that they're getting from the movies, and all of their answers were so exact for their characters.
Yeah.
Like, and on top of that, I think wasn't it in the third film that I remember I'm very bad with director names, sorry.
Alfonso Cuarón.
I think it was him. He assigned each of them to write essays and submit them. Yeah, and
Daniel
like
Daniel half-assed it.
Emma wrote several pages,
and then Rupert just did nothing.
Yeah,
he's like, no, he's like, I'm not doing it. So they're very much they're very much like their characters. And like also shout out to Chris Columbus for directing the first two films.
Yeah,
because
I forgot to mention him. Yeah,
he's someone who has worked with child actors in the past, of course, like Home Alone and whatnot. So yeah, he's very familiar with working with child actors and like bringing in these kids who, I mean, you're talking about a lot of kids in a given moment, in a given scene. You're dealing with like 20 different personalities. It's like, all right, come on, let's get it together. Let's focus. And that this is why I don't want kids. That's too much to deal with. No,
just hire Chris Columbus to come over and babysit. He's so good at it.
Yeah,
no,
right.
But he played a pivotal role in Daniel Radcliffe getting the role because, according to the research I did, Daniel Radcliffe's parents were very protective, and they weren't really too keen on him taking that role. And Chris Columbus kind of convinced them that, hey, this is a magic ticket. Like, this is your golden ticket for the rest of your life. So,
well, originally, because I mean, and Daniel's talked about this in that 20th year special. There's the story
we reviewed, and
which we did review
in the description below. You can check that out. So,
yes, yeah. So there's the story, and then there's the real story. Initially, it was believed that Warner Brothers wanted to film all the movies in LA, which would take Daniel away from his family, his home, what have you. And then when it was renegotiated about where they were actually going to film, and it was going to be set in the UK, it's like, okay, maybe we can explore this option a little bit more. But I think at the time it was a really big commitment for someone as young as he was. So yeah, but yeah, Chris Columbus was pivotal for like all these kids, especially for Daniel, like you said. Yeah, shout out to Mel, #childless millennials. Hell yeah. Yeah. That's right. Justin, you don't fit this role. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I think I'm technically a millennial, like the bear.
You're like on the cusp.
Yeah, like 1980s, like right there.
Yeah, you're on the cusp.
Yeah. I mean, I identify as Slytherin though. So that's I'm just Slytherin. That's it.
That's
yeah.
fair.
Not millennial or anything. Yeah. You mentioned Warner Brothers. So I thought this was pretty fascinating. When they acquired the film rights, they only paid $1.65 million for the first movie. Think about that. Like, I mean, $1.65 million, I'll take it. It'd be a lot. It's a lot of money to me. It's a lot of money to us. But like, to acquire the rights to this, one of their pillar franchises, like what they're with like DC and
it's the franchise. Let's just be real right now, okay?
I don't know. Have you seen that Flash trailer? That looks pretty good.
Okay, the trailer, we won't know for sure until that movie comes out and if it's a success or not. Okay.
Do you know how many people like refer to Universal Studios, like the parks, as Harry Potter Land? They don't even say Wizarding World. I'm like, I have to correct them. I'm like, it's called the Wizarding World. And they're just like, no, it's Harry Potter Land. And they don't care about anything else.
Cheers to that. All right. Cheers to that. Harry Potter Land.
Yeah. I mean, how would you know? Like, you only have like a YouTube channel devoted to the wands of Harry Potter. So, I mean, there's no way you would know that information.
I know. I'm
None
biased.
Whatsoever. None.
Unreliable narrator.
There we go. So let's pivot to to another a big character in size, but also stature in the story. That's Hagrid. And so I rewatched this movie yesterday. This is only, and I say rewatch. This is the second time I've ever seen it. It was yesterday.
It's the first time he's actually really watched it, y'all. Don't let him
Not
fool
true.
you.
Not true.
Lies.
Not true. I watched
Lies.
all 8 movies like in a
You
week's
did
time.
not.
Yes, I did.
No, you
So
don't.
anyway, the rewatch, I was extra focused so I could host this podcast. And he really is a huge character in just the beginning of the story. Like he gets Harry the letter. He basically gets Harry to Hogwarts. I mean, what a great character. And before I ask y'all about him, there was talk that Robin Williams wanted to be in Harry Potter, and this is kind of the role he was eyeing. But J.K. Rowling was a big fan of Robbie Coltrane, who played the character. So,
yes. And it's so funny because like he's been in Bond movies, like
right.
And for me as a child at that time, I didn't know who Robbie Coltrane was really. Like one of my favorite movies that he's in, I didn't see until years later, and that's a movie he co-stars with Johnny Depp, and it's called From Hell, dealing with like Jack the Ripper and what have you. But Robbie Coltrane, man, when he passed last year, that was rough. Like I felt like a piece of my childhood just die along with him. Yeah, I cried too. Like that was a tough day. Like how people felt about Kobe Bryant when he passed, that's how I felt about Robbie Coltrane, like honestly. And for all of us, Hagrid in the books as well as the movies, he is our first friend in the wizarding world. Like he is that welcoming person. And for someone who had his own struggles within the wizarding world at Hogwarts, being a half giant, not really being accepted, like Harry can relate to that, obviously. And in many ways, we as the reader and viewer can relate to that, because there's different aspects of our lives that people just don't like and accept. Like people, even on Pottergram, like Amber and I are heavily involved in Pottergram. There's people who just like to troll and be like, this is for kids. Like, you're an adult, like act your age. And it's like, no one asked you. Like, no one asked you. Like, we can like what we like. So with like Hagrid, he has like this great line in the book. He goes, I am what I am. And he knows it. And that's just kind of like that reassurance for all of us, it's okay to be who you are.
So Amber, what does the Hagrid character mean to you?
I think she summed it up beautifully. I was devastated when I found out that he passed, because he's our first friend. He's our first friendly face, because before that's the Dursleys. And like, he's just, and Harry is just, it's just how he treats Harry is so sweet, but warm and supportive, but without being overbearing. And I think it was exactly the kind of, I guess, figure that Harry needed in his life. And it's so, that's for him to be our guide throughout most the beginning of the story too. We really feel that, and we really relate to Harry with that. We see Hagrid in this amazing, beautiful light. And I just that year for Christmas after he passed, Will, my boyfriend, he got me, he's the one who majorly contributes to my wand collection. He got me Hagrid's umbrella, which is his wand. And I got a little teary-eyed. And it's just so amazing. And I'm not going to get like too much into the wand lore of it, but like his wandwood is oak, which is and Harry's is holly, and oak and holly are kings of the forest, alternating between the summer solstice and the winter solstice. They're kind of like two sides of the same coin, like yin and yang kind of thing. And they definitely still support each other and are always connected and intertwined in that way in wand lore, that I think is just beautiful.
My goal is to get somebody to cry. So I think I'm getting close to, no, I'm kidding. No. So you mentioned that Hagrid is kind of a father figure to Harry. So from one father figure to another, let's talk about Albus Dumbledore, played by Richard Harris in this movie. So Sean Connery was actually offered this role and he turned it down because he said he wasn't interested in the subject matter of the film. Could y'all imagine Sean Connery as Dumbledore?
No, none whatsoever. And I'll
Nope.
tell you how and why Richard Harris accepted the role. Is when he was presented with the role, word got out to his family. One of his grandchildren found out about it, and she said, "Grandpapa, if you don't accept the role," no, because that's what he was referred to, Grandpapa.
Okay. That's awesome.
Yeah, it is. if you don't act as Albus Dumbledore, I'll never speak to you again. And that
Good
for
for her.
him, that for him was the clincher. He didn't want to not have a relationship with his grandchild, and so he accepted the role as Albus Dumbledore. Just, useless knowledge just gonna pour out here, y'all. Like,
This is gonna be the whole podcast. I hope.
Right.
My
you know
goodness.
this.
So I do know that another actor plays Dumbledore down the line, and we're not going to do future spoilers. But Amber, how did you think that Richard Harris played in this movie? What's your assessment of him playing Dumbledore in this movie?
I really, really like this version of Dumbledore, which is saying something because as a whole, I don't really care for Dumbledore. Like, people can shoot me for all I care. I personally have some beef with him, but
that's a different podcast for a different day.
Beef with Dumbledore sounds like a podcast.
Yeah, there you
go.
It's gonna happen.
Don't worry about it. Well, we won't worry about it yet. No, I really liked Richard Harris's presentation of it because I feel like it really got the vibes and the energies that we were actually wanting from Dumbledore, that we were expecting of. And I feel like I understand and I know like why they had to change actors, of course, but I feel like the shift actually kind of helped. In a weird way, it helped develop how we see Dumbledore grow and change as Harry grows around that and interacting with it. Because if I were to try and imagine Richard Harris's Dumbledore in the last several movies, I can't really do it as well because I think he just embodied the Dumbledore of the first book so well to me, if that makes sense.
Brittany, what do you think about that?
I'm very partial to Richard Harris. Had it not been for his passing after the second movie, I definitely would have loved to have seen him continue in that role. I definitely think that adjustments would have had to be made to fit his character and his portrayal as Albus. Because what happened in Goblet of Fire, we're not even going to talk about it here. That would have never happened with Richard Harris Dumbledore, and we'll cross that bridge when we get there when we talk about Goblet of Fire. But yeah, no, I absolutely loved Richard Harris as him. He had the right demeanor, him being so calm and just explaining things. I do have issues with the character Dumbledore as a whole, but with Richard Harris, I thought he was the appropriate match.
Yeah.
Okay. So from the what is he, the headmaster of Hogwarts to the headmaster of House Slytherin. Let's talk about Alan Rickman.
Potions Master.
I'm sorry. He's the head
of House.
He's the head of House Slytherin, though. But
yeah.
So of course I know this stuff. This is like the back of my hand. I know it.
Terminology.
Right. Let's talk about Alan Rickman as Severus Snape because I think
Slytherins.
No, Slither, not Plither. I'm Plither, everyone else is Slither.
I know what I'm saying with distaste is Plitherins.
We are one. So Alan Rickman plays Severus Snape, and I think he had to be probably for that time period. Don't you think he was probably like the most identifiable actor in the movie?
It's hard to say because I think Dame Maggie Smith was also another equally recognizable. I mean, mind you, that this is pretty much a full cast of British actors, right? There's no Americans actors, if you will, not to my knowledge. So for us here in America, like we may have seen some of these actors in movies and shows, but like we are not as well versed as those of the UK audience. So Alan Rickman, or as I like to call him, Lord Rickman of the Allen, he, yes, is very much identifiable. And
he was in Die Hard, you know, like he was.
Yeah, exactly.
People,
which is a Christmas movie, Nick. You watch this replay, you get to this part. Alan Rickman was in a Christmas movie called Die Hard. Sorry. That's a separate topic. No, but with Alan Rickman being cast as Severus Snape, man, if there was one role that you had to get right, that was the one. That was the one role. Forget the Golden Trio. You had to cast Severus Snape with the right person, and they nailed it. JKR, like, she always knew she wanted to have Alan Rickman. She knew the fate of Professor Snape's character from the get-go, and she knew she wanted Alan Rickman, and I think they nailed it.
However, he was not the original choice. The original choice was Tim Roth, who Brittany, we know famously is Abomination in the MCU.
Damn,
I can't imagine him in that role. Like one, like I mean, honestly, all these like other famous people, like imagine Robin Williams as Hagrid, weird. Sean Connery as Dumbledore, doesn't make sense. To me, this is the biggest one where it's like I can't imagine Tim Roth. I don't. He just doesn't bring the same. He doesn't bring the same thing to the table. You know, like Tim Roth, as you like, for those of you who watch the She-Hulk series, he made his return to the MCU in that series, and he's super funny and like, I think he plays like comedy better than he does like being like a menacing character. And Snape is kind of, you're meant to think he's kind of a menacing character. He seems like he's a bad guy, although
kind of is.
We learn that he's not totally. I mean, like. Okay,
no,
well, y'all can explain to me.
He's not totally.
Yeah.
We'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Okay. Sounds
good. I mean, I have thoughts, but again, that's not until like, 3 Azkaban? Yeah. Ish.
Yeah.
So Amber, what are your thoughts on Alan Rickman as Snape in this movie?
I actually have seen him in a lot of movies, but I also saw him in Sense and Sensibility. And yeah, he was a bit older of a movie. And I knew of him, and I think he did a fantastic job. I can't imagine another person playing him. I really think it's perfect. I cried when he passed as well. I can even tell you like time and place. Like I know exactly where I was when I found out. And I think he just does so well at being intimidating and slightly off-putting, but intriguing in a way that where you want to keep, you're interested. You want to find out more about it. And I think that's really interesting.
Like, why does he hate Harry so much? You know, from the get-go, when you first watch this movie and you're just like, this is just an 11-year-old kid. Like, what did this kid do when y'all have never met before? Right? Like you could just tell from the get-go. Snape did not like Harry.
And I think he has like, I don't really know how to explain it about better words than like micro expressions that you can see so many emotions, thoughts, things going through his face. And especially once you find out the entire plot and story of his character, going back and watching it and seeing it, knowing that he knew the story of like the fate of his character when no one else did, like I feel like there are times where it's just a tiny little micro expression in his face where he was playing on that and no one would know until years later. And I think it was even, I think Dan Rad said that in the 20th, where he was like, he would do or say something and directors would be like, no, like, don't let, can you do that slightly differently? And he's like, no, I know what I'm doing. And then just continue doing what he wanted to do because he knew the character so well. And perfect.
Lord Rickman of the Allen was phenomenal. And he's definitely one of my favorite characters throughout the whole movie. It's not so much in the books because like you really hate him in the books.
Yes.
And there are different differentiations between the books and movies, of course. But yeah, you hated him a lot, and you hated Draco Malfoy in the books. You hate Snape in the books, but like the movies, you kind of they're tolerable. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, a little romanticized. That might not be the right word, but more like softened. Yeah,
That makes sense.
Mhm.
So I mentioned earlier that Robbie Coltrane was one of J.K. Rowling's like picks as far as favorite people that she wanted for sure to cast in this movie. The second one was Maggie Smith as McGonagall. What do y'all think about Brittany? What do you think about McGonagall in this movie?
McGonagall, she is a force to be reckoned with. Like she gives off that stern vibe. Like you do not want to cross this woman by any means necessary. She lets you know what's what, you know, business. She loves Quidditch, the sport that's played in the wizarding world. She I remember listening to Binge Mode and how they would call her McGallions, and you know, suggesting that she would place bets all on Quidditch games, of course. And so that was funny. But she's a great character. She in the wizarding world is known as an animagus. She can shift from human to a cat. The cat also bears the same kind of markings as her glasses, her cat eye glasses, which I think was always a fun little detail about McGonagall. But she's cool. She's great. And I think, again, with the casting of Dame Maggie Smith, who's just protect her at all costs, people. Just protect her, okay?
I would gladly die for her.
You know, she's also one who previously worked with Chris Columbus on Hook, just like Robin Williams did. So having that director-actor relationship and knowing like how each other works, I think probably had a lot to do with why these actors were first selected before the final decision was made. And I think once again with Dame Maggie Smith, she was the perfect casting for McGonagall.
Amber, how would you like to have McGonagall as one of your teachers?
I would just worship the ground she walked on. I don't know. She's just brilliant. I think I would have been intimidated by how much I want to earn her respect. Like I want to impress her. I want to live up to her. So the fact that I would be intimidated just by being in the room as her. But I love her. Brittany, you really, really like nailed like the, I guess, little backstory of it. But yeah, and sorry, a little mentioning they call her McGallions. Another podcast I listened to, Swish and Flick, they call her McG. And so it's like in my brain, I just call her McG.
That's funny.
Very appropriate, especially if you say in the Scottish accent, because she's Scottish, like McG. You know, it's just perfect.
Yeah, exactly. I would love to have her as my teacher. I don't know how much she would like me, considering I'm a Slytherin. I'm not of her house, but
well, according to the chat, you're of all houses, so
yeah.
Yeah.
I love and support all houses equally. So even though I am part of a house, I will fight to the death supporting all of the other houses. I do not tolerate bullying of other houses.
Especially Slytherin, because it's just me. You know, like I need a little bit of help. A little help here. Yeah.
Just add it next to Swaggered. It's like an asterisk. Like
there we go.
If anyone would like to join Justin in House Slytherin, please let us know in the chat.
Yeah, we're accepting applications. So we've kind of touched on the main cast of the movie. Are there any other favorite characters that y'all want to talk about a little bit, Brittany?
I think with casting Warwick Davis as many characters throughout the films, mainly he's Professor Flitwick. He is a very short professor. He teaches charms. A very iconic scene from Sorcerer's Stone or Philosopher's Stone is when they're learning how to levitate a feather, the swish and flick, right? And the spell that goes behind it is Wingardium Leviosa, which is, that whole scene is just very iconic because of Hermione. But I always think of Warwick Davis. Warwick Davis, the first time I ever saw him in a movie was Willow, years and years and years ago, right? And I've actually haven't watched the series yet on Disney Plus. I will. But to have him,
sorry, Brittany, I've not heard good things about the Willow series on Disney Plus, but
we're just not going to talk about that.
Who knows? Like I don't really like a lot of the Star Warsy kind of stuff, which Willow's not Star Wars, but it's Lucas. So
that's fair.
Continue. Sorry.
That's fair. No, it's fine. Hey, you got someone joining you in House Slytherin, Justin.
We are now two. Thank you.
Yes. You need a mascot. I'm telling you.
You do.
That solidifies it.
We have head boy and head girl for House Slytherin. That's amazing. That's awesome. Proud of y'all. So proud of you.
Need a crest and a logo and a crest. That's the same thing, right?
More or less. Yeah.
Yeah.
More or less. You got to decide on your colors too. So anyway, Warwick Davis, I think he was a fun addition to this cast as well. His look changes from the first two movies onward. So I think he was cool, but he's also played like other roles in within the Potter films, but again, we'll cross that when we get there. But yeah, I mean, there's just so many good like actors. We could keep going on and on and on. The twins. That's another background story too. That the Phelps twins, Oliver and James Phelps, who play Fred and George Weasley, they actually skipped school to go audition for their roles. Very much like Fred and George. So
I would say stay in school, kids, unless you are going to be on Harry Potter movies. Then definitely skip school because who needs school? Like, right? Like,
I would skip work to go audition.
So well,
they went to Hogwarts, so they went to school. So I mean, what's the problem? Yeah,
I would skip work just to go audition for a new Harry Potter film. I'm just saying, like, I can.
Of course.
I'm just saying.
Just put me in the background. I don't care as long as I'm there.
I will be a background artist, actor, whatever you want to call them these days. Just put me in, coach. I'm ready. I can pass off as a teenager. I think maybe not, but
I think both of y'all could. Y'all are both young looking, so I think you both could. Yeah,
young looking. You're funny.
I don't even need to be on the screen. I don't need to be background. I don't care. Just like put me in as a wand consultant. I don't care. Like run by me some wands and the logic of it, and I'll tell you about it. Because I have things about with the Fantastic Beasts series and things like that. So
yeah,
wands are important. And if they had a wandlerist on their team, that might help some things.
Speaking of that, before we move on, Amber, do you want to talk about a certain wand maker as one of your favorite characters, or no?
Yeah, another person I was sad about hearing
the late great John Hurt.
Yeah, John Hurt. I know him in a lot of things because he's been in a lot of movies, but the two that really stuck out to me because he was in Doctor Who and the 50th anniversary of Doctor Who, and he was one of the doctors, the War Doctor, and obviously OllivAmber. I don't like, but it's kind of confusing because I listen to many podcasts and different of people reading through Harry Potter and sometimes for the first time. And a lot of people find OllivAmber creepy. And I never got that vibe from him ever. I never really had grandparents like that were, I guess, like attentive and like telling me weird stories and things like that before. So having this guy be like, hey, I see something in you. This is interesting. And here's like a thing, like it was, and let me give you a vital tool that is intrinsic to your personality and something that will grow with you as you age. Like, that's cool. And I've never, so I thought it was really interesting, even in the books. And I like him. I like him a lot, and I was really sad when he passed.
So
I'm not gonna cry.
That's why I paused. I'm like, maybe this will be the one. Like,
gosh,
yep. Dang it.
No tears.
Still got some time.
Oh my gosh.
So from our favorite characters, I want to talk about the characters I hate the most in this movie. I was quickly reminded of this, and I remember Brittany talking to you about this years ago when I first watched the movie. I absolutely hate the Dursleys. And I mean, you're meant to hate them because they're just so like, Harry's aunt, uncle, and cousin, they're so awful to him. And it's like,
Yeah.
it honestly, it made me like viscerally mad. And I was thinking, Harry Potter is known as the boy who lived. If I were Harry Potter, I'd be known as the boy who brutally murdered his aunt, uncle, and cousin because they are awful. Like they're just awful
Yeah.
characters. And
Read the book, Justin.
whatever they get, if it's bad, they deserve it. Because like it's brutal how bad they are to him. And it like to me,
It's abusive. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
they keep him under the stairs. He's like locked under there. His cousin's like jumping and there's like dust falling on him or whatever. It's just like, what is the deal?
The deal basically is that Aunt Petunia has a sister who is a witch, and that was out of the norm, and that was not socially accepted. And there's more to it, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. There's just a lot of animosity, of course, and Vernon Dursley, yeah, he's despicable in the books. Like, read the books and you're really gonna hate them. Dudley is just a spoiled brat who just tortures Harry, obviously, and once he finds out that Harry's a wizard and could do things, then you have a little bit of a room to play with, right? So, I mean, if they make you as a non-Potter fan, if they make you feel that way, then they've successfully completed their job.
I mean, he's got to cook and clean for these people, and he's like trapped under the stairway, and it's just like
he wears Dudley's old clothes.
Yeah, he's wearing old clothes. Like the whole time, they're just terrible to him. It's really
he's probably like malnourished because he doesn't really get food, and
right. His cousin is not. Kid is like he's just like housing cakes left and right. So
probably didn't get a motherly, comforting hug until he was 14.
Yeah, it's like I said, there's so many differentiations between the book and in the movie. You lose a lot of it, of course, translating to the movie, but you get the gist of just how much the Dursleys detest Harry for just being Harry, and how well, I don't know what other way to say it other than just detested him because they knew that there was something odd about him because of his parents, and that one day
of the Horcrux.
Well, it's because of the Horcrux, but with the letter coming into their home, and then Vernon's like, nope, we're not going to have one in the house, and he's like trying to tear it up, burn it, and and then the house just gets swarmed with envelopes, which I think is another great. That's an actual practical magic, quote unquote, scene done by the incredibly talented set directors and special effects artists. But they just to see how like defeated the Dursleys are when that happens, and even Hagrid when he comes to take Harry away, and he's got a gun pointed at him, and he just says, "Dry up, Dursley, you great prune," and just bends the shotgun barrel or whatever you want to call it. It's just funny because the Dursleys kind of give you off this vibe that like we're the best people here, we're very blah blah blah, and no, they cower before Hagrid because they know better.
So, Amber, I have a question for you. So, as Brittany was just talking about, whenever the Dursleys' home is flooded with letters from the owls, right? Where do they go? Where Hagrid shows up? It looks like a castle of some sort, like a mini castle. Where are they whenever Hagrid breaks in and gets Harry?
It's kind of like a dingy old like inn on an island. Yeah, it's a shack. It's just like a 1-bedroom, if that, shack on a little rock. It's not even, I wouldn't even call it an island.
It's like off the coast somewhere.
Yeah, it's like maybe it could be an island someday if it has big dreams, but it is not, it's just a bit of rock with a shack on top. They actually went through in the books. They went through an old town. I can't remember the name of it. I'm blanking. Brittany, you might be able to help me. It's the town that Snape, Petunia, and Lily actually grew up in. They actually went through there. They left Little Whinging to go to trying to escape the letters and the owls, and they went through and they stayed in that town, and then the letters were finding them there, so they went to the shack. But I can't remember the name of that place.
Spinner's End.
That, yeah, that's where they live. Well, that's where they that's I think
Thank
it's
you,
interesting
Google.
that yeah. I think it's interesting though that like why would they go there? Like Petunia, especially because
It's familiar. I don't know.
but why would they go there if like
Because it's a
Lily
Muggle
and
town.
Snape?
It's a Muggle
But
town.
is it because Lily and Snape are there and Petunia knows that? So it's like,
well, Lily is Muggle born, and
well,
Snape
yeah.
is half. So
I know that. Like I know that and I get it, but it's like
And I
didn't
definitely knew that too. So
yeah,
go ahead.
yes.
But like
Big fan.
why would if Vernon Dursley was like, let's go to your childhood home,
Because
she'd
he's
be
an
like,
idiot.
but why wouldn't Petunia be like, well, I mean,
Because
do you
she's
really want
an
to?
idiot too.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's fine. It's beyond it's
fine.
neither here nor there. But yeah, no, they're at a shack. Vernon's just desperate to get distance from the mainland, thinking that okay, if we're out here, they don't know where we are. We're literally in the remote where they can't find us. Nope, the letter is still addressed. Harry on the floor, rock out at sea. It's
Yeah.
y'all need to read the book. Just saying. Not you, Amber. Justin, you need to read the book.
I've
Audiobook.
read it so many times.
Yeah. Anyway.
So, okay, let's talk about some favorite scenes. Amber, what's one of your favorite scenes in the movie? Or maybe what's your most favorite scene?
I like the sorting and obviously Harry getting his wand. And I know that there's another one. I had it in my brain because I knew that this was probably going to be a question.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about it all day. I don't remember. But yeah, getting Harry getting his wand, I thought it was really cool. Even as a child, I remember being like, wow, golden sparks and music and like
air blowing through your hair.
Yeah, and like a chorus going, whoa. Yeah, it's like
It's great.
I thought it was really, really cool and like kind of I feel like it built up my intensity and anticipation for the rest of the series in that moment. And then I really enjoyed the sorting because seeing Harry, I feel like it really showed his personality because he's, from what he had heard throughout his time in Diagon Alley and the few people that he had met, like Hagrid, Ron, and Draco for a little bit, he knew that he didn't want to be in Slytherin. And I think that takes like a really interesting take, is just seeing development of him and seeing how this is going to be our main character and this is kind of his envisionment for himself.
Very cool. Brittany, what about you?
So first I wanted to share Yesenia's comment. As a non-reader of the book, the snake scene, I think she is referring to the zoo where the snake escapes thanks to Harry. She says the snake scene and the music hooked me, and my response is John Williams equals freaking legend. Like
I was gonna bring that up because obviously the music is so iconic.
So iconic. Yeah.
And it's like, John Williams, like think about him, Star Wars, Indiana Jones, the original Superman movies, E.T., Jurassic Park. Like if he composes music for your movie or whatever, it's going to be a massive hit. So
golden. Yeah, no. So, I mean, and that's great to hear the perspective from a non-reader, because a lot of people who are introduced to Harry Potter are these days introduced because of the movies or having gone to the theme park or some other fashion. Not saying people aren't interested in the books, but that's a great perspective. So thanks, Yesenia, for sharing that with us. My favorite scenes, there's quite a few, of course. The first would have to be walking into Diagon Alley, seeing the little wizarding shop, seeing the big Gringotts Bank in front of you. I actually have had the opportunity to go walk that set in London at the Warner Brothers London studio tour, which I encourage everyone.
Look on Amber's face.
I know, non Harry Potter fans and Harry Potter fans alike to take and do. If you can't make it to London, go to Universal Studios in Orlando, because there is a Diagon Alley there, which is a hot second
But it's not the
replica.
same.
It's not the same. No, it's not the same. You're right. It's not. But it is amazing. It's so immersive. But so the Diagon Alley is the first scene I have to say is my favorite because it's literally your first time getting into the wizarding world and seeing the people and seeing all the things. Quidditch, the Quidditch scene is another favorite because when you're reading the chapter about the first Quidditch game and you're imagining what those hoops are and just how the pitch is set up and how these people had to fly around and do what they're supposed to do to play the game, it's cool. So to as a child to think of what Quidditch may look like in your head and then seeing it on the silver screen, that was really cool because it was almost exactly what I imagined it to be. So that was awesome. And then towards the end of the movie, when the trio are trying to steal the philosopher's stone that's hidden in the castle, they have to go through like these challenges. Now in the book, there's more challenges based on each professor's area of study, if you will. We don't get all of them in the movie, but what we do get looks really cool. You get that sense of fear when necessary. But I think the chess scene is such an iconic scene as well. The lines that Ron says is so iconic. By the way, shout out to Ron Weasley. Today's his birthday, March 1st. Yeah. We're doing this pod happenstance on his birthday. So like, that's cool. That's fun. So yeah, it's good scenes. There's a lot of great scenes in this movie because I want to say, and Amber, I think will agree with me, these first two movies that were directed by Chris Columbus are probably the most faithful to the books, with exceptions of taking parts out for runtime. So what we did get, I think, is just very well done.
Yeah, I agree. Because, I mean, like, we did have to take out things like Peeves, but...
yeah, Peeves.
Yeah, Justin doesn't know who Peeves is.
That's fine. No, I'm a big Peeves guy. huge Peeves guy, yeah.
I hate you, Justin.
Peeves all the time, yeah.
Stop it. I didn't know you were into Poltergeist. Just curious.
Yeah, the movie, the 1982 movie or whatever.
I'm talking about Peeves the Poltergeist in Harry Potter.
Clearly, I don't know what I'm talking about. Yeah, go ahead.
Clearly.
Yeah.
No, like there were some things that they had to take out because of runtime, or for Peeves because they just didn't have the technology. Because a lot of the magic in those first two movies was practical effects, and they just didn't have a way for them to include Peeves and have it look good. So,
although they did film scenes with the actor, so
and they didn't tell him that he wasn't in it until until opening night. Yeah, at the premiere, he was at the premiere, and it's like,
and it's like, by the way, you're not in this movie.
It's very interesting. Just, I really agree with you that they are as faithful as they can be to what we got.
Otherwise, it'd have been a 10-hour movie, and I would have watched every single freaking minute of it.
Make it a TV show next time. Like,
I won't do that for Justice League. I will not do that ever again, Snyder Cut or not. I will never do that again. Harry Potter, hands down, without a doubt.
I'm telling you, they need a TV show. Like, but it needs to be like at least 1 or 2 chapters an episode. Like that, and that's stretching it because a lot of stuff can happen in a single chapter. Yeah. I'm telling you, like, it needs to be a thing, and I will watch every second.
These actors that they get, though, they need to have Botox, like, to do that for the rest of their lives.
Well, no, so that brings up an interesting question, Amber. So, would y'all? Okay, let's say they reboot this franchise.
No.
Would you prefer a reboot with a new cast doing movies, or would you prefer a reboot with a new cast doing a television series that goes on for 10 seasons or something? Brittany, what do you think?
There's already been talk about Warner Brothers possibly doing a Harry Potter reboot. And I think they're just desperate at this point because their catalog is just all over the place. Like, let's just be real.
Well, I mean, DC is under control. We're good now.
I have no faith whatsoever
Go ahead.
In DC. screw you, James Gunn. I don't care. So to answer your question, I think it's too soon to do a reboot in general. I mean, we just had the 20th anniversary for the first movie. I think it would be better to do it as a series, kind of like the approach that Disney is taking with Percy Jackson and the Olympians. It was originally movies, but now they've decided to do a TV series and cast age appropriate kids, if you will, and probably dedicate more to the story than what we got in those first two movies, because man, that was rough. So I don't know how they could arrange it for a TV series. I think it might be more successful as a TV series. We already have the movies. Get a whole new cast, of course, if they wanted, and if the actors were game for it. I know Tom Felton would 100% be game for it.
Yeah.
Bring in these veteran actors to have a cameo as a professor or as some sort of character. I think
Tom
that
said he would
be...
like to play Dumbledore.
And he said that Dan could be Snape. I remember he said that. That's funny. So I don't know. I mean, there's just been a lot of talk already about it. I for sure do not want to see a reboot of the movies anytime soon. I just don't think we're there yet at all.
I agree. It's too soon, but I think series. And I was going to bring up Percy Jackson as well, and also Avatar: The Last Airbender, because that was a cartoon animated TV show, and Netflix is doing a live action of Avatar. And again, the main character is 12, and the other two main characters, the boy and the girl, are 14 and 16 respectively. So it's and they're casting age appropriate kids with it, and I think I would appreciate. I think a show would be the best way to go, because at this point we already got the movies that have all of the highlights that we want, but at this point the fans want the details that we missed. So I think catering to that via show where you have the time to go through all of that, but if it's Harry Potter and the Wizarding World, they're definitely going to have the funds to do it. I think it'd be the best bet. And McDorks agrees with us, Brittany.
Yes, series.
But y'all do believe that whatever it is, it needs to have Harry Potter, the character, in it. You think so? Because the Fantastic Beasts movies have not. I mean, they did fine, but I mean, they were going to make 5 of them. Now it seems like they're done after 3, right?
It hasn't been official, but
that's to be determined.
Basically,
yeah. And we do. At least I was planning to do the first 2 Fantastic Beasts movie reviews here on Watchers. Amber and I actually did Secrets of Dumbledore, the 3rd movie, over on my 2nd channel, Brittany's Magic Trunk. Y'all go check it out, and check out Amber's OllivAmber's wands here on YouTube as well. Our links are down below in the description, so check it out. Appreciate your subscription. So Fantastic Beasts, that's a separate pod for a separate thing. It's part of the Wizarding World. It's not direct at this moment with Harry Potter.
You don't have the signature character. It's almost like the way what Marvel is experiencing right now with the MCU. You don't have Tony Stark Iron Man, and you've lost these, and you don't have Steve Rogers Captain America. So a lot of people are like, well, what's the deal? You're introducing all these new characters, and I like the ones that I like whenever you started doing this stuff. So people want those characters again, just that's why we've had 7 people play Batman, or whatever over the years. There's always going to be a new Batman movie.
I don't think it needs to have Harry in it. Harry's actually my favorite character. I love Harry because nobody ever picks the title character as their favorite, but I love him. But I don't think it needs to be about him, because we have Fantastic Beasts, and we have Hogwarts Legacy, which is takes place in the 1800s, so it's maybe a good 180 years before Harry is born.
Yeah,
something like that.
Something like
and
that.
I can math.
Good, because I can't.
That was
Art major.
That was sarcastic. I can't really math. I have dyscalculia.
Gotcha.
But Hogwarts Legacy is its own story, and taking place kind of around the Goblin Rebellions, which is something that Harry learns about in History of Magic. Fantastic Beast is a textbook
within
that
Harry's world.
yeah, within Harry's
Yeah.
world. And a lot of people really want, like, the two things that people are really, 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 really wanting are the, like, his parents' generation, like with the Marauders. Yeah, like everyone wants the
Yes!
Marauders. Everyone wants to see Hot Sirius. Like, it's a thing.
Yes. I want to
It's
see
a
about
thing.
the founders. I want to see about the
Yeah,
Hogwarts
the founders. That was the other one. Is the
Yes.
it's usually 50-50. People are fighting over, like,
that.
if they do a show, it should be the founders. Oh no, it should be the Marauders, and it's just kind of back and forth. I'm personally
that
founders.
and Voldemort's origins. I think those 3 shows would be phenomenal.
That would be. And I don't know. There's also, I mean, there's so much in it because, again, there's a lot of world building and detail in it. And they included Nicholas Flamel. He's a real world dude. Timeline, it doesn't really make much sense, but in Fantastic Beasts, they already said screw the timeline. The Merlin is actually a prominent character in the Wizarding world. He was a Slytherin, and he did attend Hogwarts. And even though he's theoretically supposed to be, like, around for like 600 years before Hogwarts was built, but whatever. There's a lot of room to grow. That's the whole point of having a Wizarding world. There are different Wizarding schools in every single country. Like, there's a lot to grow on. So I don't think it needs to include Harry.
Okay. Now you mentioned Hogwarts Legacy, which is the very popular video game that recently came out.
Yes.
And last week, Warner Bros. Discovery had a investors call or an earnings call or whatever. They basically talked about various stuff, DC, whatever. They also mentioned that, hey, this Hogwarts Legacy game is doing very well, and we would like to maybe have a TV series of the same ilk based on it or in that same world. Now, Amber, you happen to have the game.
Yes.
You recently got a PS5 and you're playing the game. So let's get your review of Hogwarts Legacy so far.
I am in love with it. I've been following the development of this game for like 5-6 years. I've been waiting for it for a long time. My previous job was working at a Best Buy. So, like, I was around gaming discussions all the time. And I'm not really a big gamer. So I never really had much to contribute to that until trailers and information started dropping about this. And then people were asking me questions about something I know a lot about, and it felt great. It's beautiful. The detail, this world, the map is gigantic. It's open world. You can explore as much as you want. I have done very, very little actual development in the game, in the plot, because I'm just exploring the castle. Because like I told you guys off live, that if Harry doesn't care about it, we don't know about it. If Harry doesn't see it, we don't see it.
Right.
But there are parts of the castle that I just want to explore just because I can. It's a castle. And so it's absolutely gorgeous. The amount of detail, the characters, and there are characters with family names that we recognize. There is, I guess this is a little bit of a spoiler. Our headmaster is actually in the books, but we never see him in the movies. Phineas Nigellus Black. And he helps out in the books. He has a portrait in Grimmauld Place and in the headmaster's office. So he kind of works as a correspondent between those two places for Sirius and Dumbledore, for the Order and for Dumbledore. And it's just so, it's weird to see, like, hey, this is this guy when he was alive now. And things, it's magical, it's wonderful, it's brilliant. I'm still getting comfortable with the combat, but I really love it. It's great. I recommend everybody play it just to stare at everything. And you can pet cats. Like,
I've seen that feature where students are just going around and just petting every single cat that they come across, and it's just like, I will pet all the cats.
I pet 8 yesterday, and I played for 2 hours.
Yeah. By the way, Justin, the voice of Phineas Nigellus Black, the headmaster currently at Hogwarts in this game, is voiced by Simon Pegg, who we know to be Huey Campbell's father in the show The
Boys.
Boys. Mhm.
That's very cool.
Yes.
So I think that's pretty cool that he's crossed over into this universe. So Nick says that Hogwarts Legacy looks very good. I agree. Aesthetically and visually, it does look amazing. Amber and I had the opportunity a couple months ago to participate in a live stream of the showcase for Hogwarts Legacy over on the Topic Network, which was really cool, really fun experience. And I knew nothing about the game because I knew I wasn't going to play it, not because I don't want to. I just knew because I didn't have the console. I don't have a PlayStation 5, so it's like I'm not going to play this game.
Yeah.
So, but to see everything visual, and it's not just Hogwarts itself, it's the grounds, it's the surrounding area of Hogwarts because it's set in Scotland, so you see the Highlands and what have you, and it's beautiful, and it makes you actually want to get on a plane and just go and see like the spots where they shot on location and say, okay, this is like as close as I can get, to the real thing. So
No,
it looks cool.
It looks really cool. And I should say that Hogwarts Legacy is also available on Xbox Series X, I believe, which is the latest Xbox. It will also be available on Nintendo Switch in the future.
Actually, it's on the newer model of the consoles currently and on PC currently.
Okay.
It will not be available on PS4 and like the
Right.
lower models of Xbox until I think April 10th. Or I know it's for sure in April.
Okay.
And it will not be available on the Switch until July.
Yeah. I would say if you're able to get a new PlayStation, a PS5 or a new Xbox, that's the way to go to play these games because they do look incredible on those new systems.
It's beautiful.
The expenses, the systems are expensive, but there's a reason. So that's
John,
very cool.
John bought the game for the PC. He plays with an Xbox controller, which is fine. I don't know how to use the Xbox controller, so therefore I'm not going to play.
I don't know how to use a PS5. I don't know how to use I don't use a PlayStation. I play on the
But
Switch and I only play Pokemon.
But you know how to pet cats.
Yeah.
That's important.
Because it tells you. It tells you what button to hit, like when you approach a cat.
That's fun.
It's great. And the controller purrs.
There you go.
Okay.
It's great.
Purrs. Okay.
The controller purrs.
That's funny.
It confuses my actual cats, but
oh my.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Very cool. So as we review all these Harry Potter movies, which we're going to do, we'll get Amber's updates on how she's progressing in the game from time to time. So, yeah. So that'll be cool. I had a couple of kind of final thoughts that like some of my favorite stuff about the movie. I as a sports fan, I enjoyed the Quidditch scene. I think that looks like a fun game to play. I don't totally understand the rules. I mean, kind of understand it, but I thought it looked cool. And even though like it was, back in the early 2000s, I think the way they used the green screen, it didn't look that bad to me. Like,
yeah,
I mean, it looks better than the Obi-Wan series on Disney Plus, which
we don't talk about that show here, Justin.
Okay, I'll stop talking about it. I like the platform, the 9 3/4 scene. That's pretty iconic.
Say it proper. 9 3/4.
9 3/4. I'm sorry. Yeah, 9 3/4.
How dare you?
Numerically, I would call it 3/4. But yeah, 9 3/4 scene with Mama Weasley showing Harry how to get to Hogwarts.
Protect Molly Weasley at all costs.
That was cool. And then one of my I'd totally forgotten. I mean, obviously I've only seen this movie twice, but I'd forgotten about when it's Christmas time and Harry and Ron say, "Happy Christmas, Harry. Happy Christmas, Ron." I just thought that was funny. And so I can't wait till it's Christmas again so I can say Happy Christmas, Brittany, and Happy Christmas, Amber. Because nobody says Happy Christmas. Like you know.
I think they do say it in the UK, and
that's how it is.
That's why they. Oh, okay.
To confirm, I mean, I think it may be interchangeable. They might actually say Merry Christmas, but they also may say Happy Christmas as well. Like it's
just like pants and trousers, right?
Well, pants and trousers. Pants and trousers are two different things, especially
and sweaters and jumpers.
Sweaters and jumpers are the same thing, but pants and trousers are not the same thing.
Yeah, I don't know.
Or no, yes they are. Yes they are. But pants means something different over
yeah, I know that.
Pants underwear?
Yes.
Okay, because trousers are like pants.
Trousers are
Yes.
See, this is an educational podcast. We're learning
9.75, Justin. That
works too, yeah.
Oh, the number symbolism in Harry Potter is like a whole podcast in itself.
Yeah,
I can go
Nick
on.
and Claire confirm pants is underwear. Yes.
So
Yeah.
my last question is: we see Gryffindor, they win the House Cup thanks to some additional points. Is this bullshit or what? Come on. I mean, should they have
total.
won?
Total bullshit.
Yeah, come on.
There,
Like,
there's memes about Dumbledore, and to ensure that Gryffindor always wins, because spoiler, y'all, Dumbledore was in Gryffindor.
Yeah.
He'll go out of his way just to award extra points to Gryffindors to make sure that they always win. It's like someone could, Slytherin in this movie won the House Cup originally because between Harry, Ron, and Hermione, they lost so many points that put them at the bottom. And Dumbledore decides, I'm going to award these 3 students who went into a forbidden corridor and fought through these challenges and did things and broke so many rules throughout, the evening. I'm going to reward them for their bad behavior just so they can win. It's bullshit. It's total bullshit.
Yeah.
Yes, Bianca, the rigged House Cup. Exactly.
We will die on this hill.
Oh yeah, for sure. Again, Dumbledore is a different pod for a different day. A character study of Dumbledore is probably going to be warranted, just like our character study for Joe Goldberg for our You podcast. But real quick, Justin, I want to share from Bianca. Thanks for joining us, by the way. She says her favorite part is the Halloween scene where Quirrell faints and everyone throws their candy and runs troll in the dungeon.
Yeah.
But you want to know.
Something I want to point out about that, because Justin, you probably don't know this, but just because I want to point this out to you, is that Dumbledore tells he tells everyone, he tells us, I was there, I wasn't even born yet, and it takes place in what, 1990, 1991? Yeah, something like that. I don't know. I was born in Goblet of Fire. I know that. Anyway, when that happens and he's screaming about the troll, Dumbledore says, everyone go back to your houses. Whatever, everything will be
your dormitories. Yeah.
The Slytherin dorms are in the dungeon where the troll is.
Yeah.
Dumbledore has it out for Slytherins. It's a thing.
It's a thing. I don't know what you gotta hate. I don't know why you gotta hate. Slytherins are the best. Just saying. We're not all bad. We're not.
We didn't talk about that character Quirrell, and I honestly I'd forgotten about that character. Obviously, I've seen this movie before, but it'd been a while. Well, what is there anything I want to point out about that character? He kind of becomes Voldemort in a way, like
he's
the
more
back of his head does that.
He's kind of like the housing for Voldemort,
kind of like a parasite.
Kind of like a parasite, but
he's the vessel. He's the vessel.
He's the vessel, yeah. So he comes across Quirrell. He comes across Quirrell at one point, and Voldemort just ascends into his body. And Amber, I'm going to let you complete this. I'll be right back.
Luna is very vocal right now. Yeah,
we love you, Luna. Yeah, I would say it's basically a parasite. He's interesting, and I guess Quirrell, he's going to be the next wand analysis that I do whenever I actually am able to once I move. And so I've done quite a bit of research on Quirrell. He's actually a Ravenclaw. And a lot of people like to hate on the Slytherins because most of us are bad guys, but it's like, hey, there are some bad people in every house. Look at Quirrell. His whole thing was that he always wanted to be the most intelligent and he was very severely bullied his entire life. So he wanted to be cool and wanted to be impressive and do impressive, intimidating things. And so he went out to study vampires, he says. And that's where he ran across Voldemort. And whoops. And Voldemort is just like, hey, I can help you basically get back at your bullies because this is something a grown man should be concerned about.
It's like, let me help you help me.
Yeah. That's exactly what happened. And yeah. What's weird is like other main characters we don't have wand stats for, but Quirrell we do.
So
we know the
strange.
exact length, flexibility, wood, and core of his wand, but we don't know like Sirius Black's or Snape's.
Yeah, and Quirrell's not like long for this world, unfortunately. You know, he's very short-lived. You know,
Harry straight up murders a guy. It's fine.
pretty much with his hands, and
Yeah.
because love is in his hands, and
hmm
we
Love
get
burns.
love burns. It does. Hell hath no fury. So yeah, Quirrell, he's kind of important in this first movie, but yeah, not long for this world.
Okay, very cool. So
Right, so cool.
yeah. Final thoughts on Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. Amber, what are your final thoughts as we get ready to wrap this up?
It's home. It's familiar. It is warm and cozy and familiar, and I love it. I've done many movie marathons with people, and whether we actually continue through the whole series or they watch it on their own or I continue it on my own because I don't want to wait for them. It's I like Brittany was saying in the beginning, this is a sense of like Hogwarts is our home, is Harry's home. This is our home, and I love it very much, and I'm very excited for us to actually cover the rest of the series and continue on, but it's great to start talking about it because I love it.
Brittany, final thoughts.
Harry Potter is just near and dear to my heart. Obviously, Justin, I've been wanting to do this pod for quite some time. Finally made it happen. Yes. Win for, 10 points for Slytherin.
Well, I mean, you only like do everything for our podcast and run it. So like it was pretty much just whenever you wanted to do it, we were going to do it. So
yeah. But adding like Amber to the mix, because we've expanded our Watchers like network, if you will. Yeah. It's great having someone else here on the pod who enjoys Harry Potter just as much as I do. The rest are muggles, apparently. So that's fine. Although I do appreciate, Justin, you taking one for the team and joining us and hosting and rewatching the movies as well. This movie obviously kicked off the franchise. It's been a very successful franchise from the time it started to, 20 years down the road, of course. People are still discovering Harry Potter, be it through the movies, through the theme parks, through the books. It doesn't matter. I love that this is a story that is pretty universal. And I think back to a quote from Stephen King, the man of horror, writing, right? And for him to praise Harry Potter to the level of it teaches you this, and it possesses these qualities that should be instilled in young readers and what have you. And then he knocked on Twilight in like the same breath, saying like Twilight's about the importance of having a boyfriend. It was really funny to me. But like Harry Potter does have a lot of these values that I think is important to share with our younger audiences, because this is, granted, a children's book, if you will. I think introducing them into a world that's not only fantasy like, but it allows you to escape from your reality and become immersed in reading. And I think that's like the takeaway I can say about this story outside of the movies. I mean, even if it's the movies, if it's a great escape for you, like more power to you. Watch it however many times you feel like you need to. The limit does not exist, like I said earlier. So it's Harry Potter and Sorcerer's Stone, or Philosopher's Stone, is, I think, a great movie. I think it's held up even as we're 20 years since its premiere. I think it's held up.
Yeah. And like you were saying too, though, like it does teach, like, and how the great king said, like, it does teach us how to be. And there are so many people, especially like in, I guess, like our collective generation who grew up with Harry Potter, that there's been studies that find out that we're more accepting, we're more loving, have more compassion, more willing to be helpful. Like because those are things that we were kind of instilled with this series, because it's so full of love. And we see the character, like we understand so many characters, because having a children's book have such a vast array of well-developed characters is interesting, because so many other kids books, not just Twilight, but even like younger grade books, the kid is invested in the story, the main characters, that's it. This, we have side characters that have entire backstories and histories and families, and we get to learn all about that and see different perspectives of that, and that is so interesting. And it did Harry Potter was the first story that I read or watched that was like that. That it wasn't just about Harry. It was about Harry's entire world.
And you saw the prejudices amongst the wizarding world, those who were pure blood, half blood, muggle born, you can understand, like, it's something that's relatable. And I think that's what's been well done, both books and in movies.
Yeah. And people are still like getting into it, just like you said, even from this game. My the person my editor producer for my channel for OllivAmber's Wands is he's never actually seen or read Harry Potter. All his knowledge is from editing my videos. And
Corey, I need you to do better. Do better.
He says he wants to, and he says he's going to. I will put this as evidence that I'm going to push some buttons later. But yeah, he got the game Hogwarts Legacy, and he says that it's one of the best games that he's been playing in the past couple of years. And he's completely in love with it, and he is experiencing this world for the first time via Hogwarts Legacy. Not even from the books or the movies or Fantastic Beasts. And that is so cool.
That really is. It's amazing.
It's very cool. Yeah, Harry Potter is obviously a magical character, but this movie has a lot of magic to it. And I'm not, this is not necessarily for me. I do understand why people like it. Like, I get it. Like, after you watch it, you're like, yeah, I understand why this is a thing. This is a big deal. So it's been a lot of fun to talk about Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone today. Now you know what we think. We want to know what you think. So, Brittany, how can people let us know what they think about the movie?
So let us know by leaving a comment down below on this video. Also want to give a shout out to all those who joined us for today's live stream, that joined us in the live chat: Bricky Hollows, Nick and Claire, aka Walking with the Woods, all the way from the UK, McDorks, Geeking Out with Melly Mel, Bianca. If there's someone else I missed, I apologize for missing. Yesenia. Yes, I cannot forget Yesenia. So yes, we appreciate everyone who joined us for the live stream. We encourage you to join us for all of our live streams here on the Watchers in the Basement. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, like this video, and hit that notification bell. We are on the road to 500. I was going to say 200. 500 subscribers, y'all. And as of time of recording, we are at 225. 225, y'all. So let's
get to 300, and then we'll do 400, and then 500. But yeah.
No, 500. Make it happen. So, but also you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Search at Watchers Basement. You can use that same handle, but turn it into a hashtag to help grow our audience. Send us memes, send us articles, send us things that you want us to review. If you want to talk Harry Potter, use that hashtag, and we will find you and talk Harry Potter. Lastly, you can also listen to our audio podcasts on Apple, Google, and Spotify, thanks to anchor.fm. Give us a 5-star rating. Listen to us while you're at work, while you're at the gym, doing laundry, whatever. I don't care. Just listen to us. Give us a 5-star rating. And also, y'all, don't forget to subscribe to Amber's YouTube channel. That is OllivAmber's Wands. Her link is in the description box down below, as well as mine, Brittany's Magic Trunk, my second channel. That's all things Harry Potter.
Thank you, Brittany. So for Brittany, for Amber, I'm Justin saying we'll see you next time when we review Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. Well, we do that hopefully very soon. But until then, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.